Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel 72 video. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving my instant reaction to Nassourdine Imavov winning via unanimous decision against Caio Borralho. And if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and feel free to join the Patreon as well. You can request any kind of combat sporting related content, and I will try my best to do it. So there's been plenty of videos that have come as a result of that already. Of course, I do UFC content and other, sometimes other MMA organizations as well as boxing. So it's not just limited to boxing. But yeah, yeah, let's get straight into it. The link will be in the description. Thank you very much. But yeah, for this card, it was a big, UFC Paris card, and you can always see the French fans coming out in numbers to support their own. And I mean, they definitely didn't disappoint again this time. They were really out in full force, and it was a great night for all the French fighters. They went 5-0 on this card. Again, that is the kind of definition of the fans really helping bring the fighters together, and really kind of bringing it home for them. And like I say, it was a great atmosphere and a great night for them, and it was a good card, to be fair. And maybe this fight wasn't the most entertaining of main events, and maybe it wasn't a fight that really kind of filled up to the hype in which the fans were kind of presenting whilst they were in there, but it was still a good fight nonetheless. And I suppose to kind of work my way through it, it was a fight in which, like I say, wasn't really the most entertaining from the get-go, to be completely honest. It was a bit of a chess match, a bit of a chess striking match. Borralho was attempting to go for some nice body kicks, but wasn't really having a tremendous amount of success. Early on, Imavov was looking very sharp and was landing clean shots, showing a good level of power whenever he did land. And from the get-go, he pretty much just asserted that dominance and asserted, what I've just said there, the fact that he was able to be sharp and the way that he was able to land well, like I say, with that kind of sniper accuracy, in which of course he's known for. And again, like I say, he was able to display that well here. And I mean, it was a bit weird to see that Borralho kind of just, I don't know if he was trying to act nonchalant or if he was getting frustrated or not, but at the end of what was, I believe, the second round, there was a couple seconds left and he kind of just walked off instead of trying to instigate anything else. And I don't think that's a good mindset to have. Obviously, there was only a couple of seconds left, so it's not a major thing, but just when you are kind of down on the cards and you're down on the cards and you're coming off a round in which you haven't won, just to go away and just not even try for the final few seconds is interesting to see. Maybe, he was at that point already kind of being worn down a bit. But, in the third round, I did give that round to Borralho. He then, did a little bit more. He was able to land a couple of nice straight shots himself. When he was, being the one to throw first, he was having a little bit of success in that round. Throughout the majority of the fight, he was always the one to throw first, but wasn't really having a tremendous amount of success. In that third round was the round in which, like I say, he was able to actually land a bit, but he still looked very wary for, what Imavov was able to do. And he's quite twitchy and on the back foot a lot. And then going into the fourth round, Imavov was able to push him back up against the cage and was able to have a bit of success there. And that did have me kind of questioning amongst, I'm sure plenty of other fans at that point as well, as to why Caio Borralho wasn't trying to go for even desperation kind of attempts at a takedown, just really trying anything. I feel like if he was definitely coming into the fight the guy that was expected to try and go for a takedown, the guy who was, like I say, the more all-round kind of fighter. But again, he had a few attempts at going for a takedown early on and it didn't really seem to work, and he just never really went back to it again. And I think if he'd actually gotten one clear attempt and gotten him to the ground, he could have had a bit of success against Imavov. But again, like I say, he was just wanting to have a chess kind of striking fight with him, and again, that's always going to favour Imavov. And then in the final round, I mean, it was a clear final round in my opinion for Imavov. He was being a bit more of an aggressive, he showed a bit more of an aggressive side to him in that final round, and he was able to land well, and whenever Borralho landed, he was, able to instantly land back and to land a more significant strike. And again, Borralho just didn't really seem to have much of an answer for it, to be completely honest. It was a very well-rounded, dominant performance from Nassourdine Imavov, and that was pretty much what I expected. I got my prediction right for that one, and I was happy with that because he came in as the underdog yet again, like he did against Adesanya Imavov. And I don't know why the bookmakers keep writing him off, because I think he's an excellent fighter, and like I say, the real sniper, in which if a fighter wants to go stand in toe to toe, it's going to be very difficult to be able to stop him and out kind of maneuver him, and like I say, calculate him with the better shots. That of course, was a number one contenders fight, and that is supposed to set up for the title shot. And it does seem like that is probably what's going to happen next. He was keen to say that it was his turn. When he was on the mic, he said, "Dana, I think I'm next," or something like that, which was nice to see, because he said it in English, and that gets the American fans going a bit more. But like I say, he thinks that it's time next. I think that it's time next. He probably will get a title shot next. When it will be, not got a clue, because of course we never really know what's going to be happening with Hamzat, if he's ready to go out again before the end of the year, or if he's wanting to do it at some point next year. But I'd imagine Imavov will now just wait until he gets given his opportunity, which hopefully will get pushed along a little bit more and moved along a little bit more, because Imavov didn't take a tremendous amount of damage, neither did Chimaev really, so both of them could fight by the end of the year if if that's if they're able to get it over. And that's what I want to see, and I'm sure that's what the fans want to see as well. The real question is Imavov's style able to cause Chimaev problems? And that I'm really not sure about. Again, we really didn't get to see a tremendous amount of wrestling ability from Imavov in this fight. Yes, he was able to stuff a couple of takedowns, and that's a good thing to see. But like I said, at the same time, we didn't actually get to see really much takedown defense at a high level, and at the same time, he didn't have to deal with fighting on the ground again. So I don't think that really showed a tremendous amount. He probably could land better than Chimaev and probably catch him with a shot if he comes in. But if Chimaev just rushes in, gets caught with a shot, bulldozes through it, and then takes him to the ground, is Imavov going to be able to have that much success? Like I say, we haven't seen that again for this in this performance. But still, like I say, a dominant performance for Caio Borralho. He's going to have to rebuild. And to be fair, he's probably got plenty of options of who he could fight next. And I mean, it is a bit of a shame to see that the kind of fighting nerds have taken a real hit on this card. And we'll talk about the co-main event, I suppose, now, in Benoit Saint-Denis winning via submission in round 2 against Mauricio Ruffy. And yeah, that was a big moment for the French fans, and for Saint Denis as well. I mean, Saint Denis had his kind of peak in the UFC rankings when he fought Poirier, and he had that hype behind him then. Then he had his loss to Moicano, and then he's kind of just been fed this Ruffy fight in which he was, expected to lose. He came in as the underdog, and he was quite a clear underdog. And Ruffy was on such a good kind of hype train, coming off the great win against King Green. And then, yeah, Saint Denis just came with a game plan, which was just to get him, close the gap, get him to the ground early. And yet again, another creative striker. It was Magmedov not too long ago, Sharabullet, and now it's Mauricio Ruffy as well. Being exposed, but the fact that they don't have the wrestling ability, they don't know how to fight in close. They want to have that range to be able to land, and as soon as they don't have that distance and they don't have the control and the pace and everything like that, then they get a bit stuck and they don't know what to do. And Saint Denis did very well to be able to take him down in the second, and then just, like I say, didn't allow Ruffy any space to work. Got a tight face crank, which, I mean, certain fighters might have tried to battle through, push through a bit more, but it did look very tight, and Ruffy was in multiple bad positions in the first round as well, and you could see that was kind of just depleting him. And again, you could tell he just wasn't really too interested in staying in there any longer. And yeah, it was another surprising moment, another hype train, like I said, gone now. And it's going to be interesting to see how they try and match up somebody like a Ruffy now. Will they just give him strikers from now on to, try and rebuild him again? Or will they just, put him in as an away fighter? I really don't know, because, like I say, that was quite a humbling kind of performance realistically for Mauricio Ruffy. And like I say, stopping that hype train that the fighting nerds have been on. When you look at the fighting nerds now, of course, another one of them is fighting next weekend in John Silver. He's the one that's now at the moment actually leading the way for them, because he's got, all these stoppages going his way, and he's looking actually really good as well. Will he be able to beat Diego Lopez and get himself into a number one contenders kind of position? We will have to wait and see. But, he, like I say, has a lot of weight on him at the moment. Of course, the likes of Carlos Protes is also floating around, and he's coming off a good win, but, he came unstuck against Ian Gary when he was wrestling as well. So again, it's just the wrestling ability of these guys. We will have to wait and see what happens with the fighting nerds next. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you didn't, like the video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.